Welcome to the ninth episode of the Numeracy Report. My name is Sandra Tambidurai. I am a math educator, a math coach, a mother of two, and a lifelong learner. The why of things is extremely important because our brain has evolved to discard information that it thinks has no relevance. This was said by none other than Elon Musk. My goal for this show is to explore the many ways that math is used in various industries so that students understand the reason why they're learning what they're learning in the classroom. Today's episode is a little different, and I am so excited because I am talking to a fellow math teacher. So Shari Bruyn is a math teacher with a wood shop. In 35 years of teaching in small town Illinois, she's taught every math topic in the high school curriculum to hundreds of teenagers, including her own sons, and about 40 second generation students. In 2019, with little woodworking experience and shoes and a shoestring budget, she proposed the first geometry and construction class in her school district. Interrupted by COVID-19, her course was resurrected in 2022 to great acclaim. The 2022-2023 class was proud to produce beanbag toss games, porch swings, a hammock, and a bed frame. Shari's home now boasts a student-made woodshed. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Shari Bruyn.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing well, Shari. I am so honored to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. My goodness.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for Anika Gandhi for, finding it within her to reach out to me and share your name with me. And as soon as she told me that you run a STEM class where you teach geometry in the classroom twice a week, and then you take the kids to a wood shop 3 times a week to apply the concepts you taught, I was just so intrigued and just wanted to know all about it, So, and we had an exploratory call, and I have to tell you, after exploratory call, I went and talked to all my family members about your work. And the thing is, I was just so inspired by your continued enthusiasm for, reaching your students like through 3 decades of teaching, and that screams passion to me. And I love talking to passionate people. So thank you for your time. Thank you really for really excited to talk to you.
Thank you.
So what inspired you to create a class that combines geometry and woodworking?
I went to a workshop with a fellow teacher. She was the FCS teacher, the home ec teacher, as we used to call it back in the day. And the people there, Tom Moore and Scott Burke, were showing a construction class that they're doing on the other side of life. And I went, oh, that's what I want to do. I have pretty much no woodworking background. I just played with hammer and nails when I was a kid, and I used Annika's videos all the time. So
nice. Like,
so,
did you use her videos in the classroom in regular geometry class, or did you use it in your new current geometry and construction class?
The geometry and construction class, I showed them how something should be made.
Right.
And then also I watched them to make sure I'm doing things right, because I am by no means an expert at this.
Right.
I just
how did you find that confidence in you to just, with no woodworking experience, you were just like, oh, I'm just going to teach a class, So,
I've always wanted a geometry 2 class. Kids get 1 shot at geometry and that's it. There's no more geometry ever in a high school. So this was another way to extend the concepts in geometry, kind of nail them down a little bit more. No pun intended.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
And so we review the basics of geometry and and then come into the wood shop here and apply them, and hopefully some of it sinks in a little more. I have lots and lots and lots of help from the kids themselves. I do not claim to know everything. And I tell them that the very first day, that's my first sentence. And I tell them, and a lot of their parents have come in because the parents have way more skills than I do. So I invite the parents in to help me and to show the kids and to be a speaker. And so together we get it done.
That's awesome. And so that makes sense that this is like a second year geometry course. So that way, you can apply the concepts like right away, right? So basically, I'm assuming you're just reviewing some concepts and then taking the kids into the wood shop.
Yes, yes.
So is that like, what do you start with when what concepts do you introduce to the kids in the beginning, just to get them to review those, and then so that they can apply things right away?
We start with surface area because our first project's a cornhole board, which is, I have one right behind me here. And so we start with surface area for painting, and then Pythagorean's theorem, so they can make sure their cornhole board is square, not off kilter. So square roots of Pythagorean's theorem is almost day one in surface area and volume. So
nice. So it's just awesome. I've thought about this quite a lot because talking to so many people in different industries, I feel like a lot of students don't even really need pre-calculus, but this seems like an excellent way, because what is education really, right? Education is a way to is to make sure that the kids have the skills needed to thrive in the future. And I wish I had some, I could always try now, but like, I wish I had some woodworking experience, to have the kind of confidence to feel like, oh, I can build anything, instead of having them like abstract in your brain to be able to apply it. So I think it's really amazing what you've done. And it shows, also inspires other teachers who feel like they don't have experience with woodworking, but hey, Shari did it. So it's really, really nice. And what other, so we talked about surface area, we talked about Pythagorean theorem. What other ways do you apply geometry in woodworking?
well, this year we made some porch swings, and a pair of girls in my class are like, I'd rather make something else. And I said, fine, what do you want to make? So we came up with a twin bed, and their goal was to make it and donate it. So how does that have to do with geometry? Well, these are let's say the back, like the headboard, and the girls had to make sure these were parallel, because if they weren't parallel, then the headboard would be crooked. So they had to figure out how to tell the distance between the top and the bottom to keep the distance the same, which in geometry is the transversal. They needed the distance formula to use to get their headboard square, as they say in woodworking. And also the slats on the bottom, we had to be sure that the slats were parallel. Otherwise, when they got done, one end would look like this and the other end would look like this. So we really had to work on distance. And during that week, we were working on distance formula in the classroom. So
I see. So how did you make sure that the slats were parallel? Were you using the fact that the distance between the parallel lines is the same throughout? Is that what you were using?
yes. So we calculated how, with basic math, surprise, how far apart the wood slats needed to be. We took the measurement, divided by how many wood slats. And then we cut a piece of wood, two pieces of wood, two chunks of wood, and we put them between the boards. We'll use this. We'll put them between the boards at the top, and then also at the bottom, and made sure the distance was the same.
Okay, I see. And
then we removed it, and we screwed the board down, and then we put another slat up, put the markers in, and screwed the next board down and moved the markers to the next set. And we just worked our way down well, they did, I didn't. They worked their way down the bed frame. They did all the work. And it turned out beautiful, absolutely gorgeous bed frame.
I want to actually share that picture. Let me share that picture here. So this is right.
That's the bed. Yes.
That's the bed.
Yes. Yep.
And
yep. So you can see the parallel lines on both. And there is the bed in the bedroom. It looks absolutely gorgeous. The staining matched everything. And one of the girls that worked on that just loves art. So she was my go-to girl. How do you make this color? How do you use stain? How do you clean brushes? So yeah.
Right. It helps them also kind of figure out their passions and figure out what they're into when you're given the space to explore those things, So
yes.
So these are the two girls.
Those are the two girls, yeah. With their ear protection, we received a grant from the retired teachers of Shelby County, which is the county just south of the school district in the south part of our school district. And we were lucky enough to have ear protection. They purchased ear protection for us because when you have 14 kids in a shop and all of them have either a screw gun or miter saw or a sander running, it gets loud.
Right.
So thank you to them for the ear protection that we have.
Wow.
So, and that's them working on it. That's before they stained it.
Right. So, I mean, you really, really was resourceful. You went out there, you asked the Retired Teachers Association, and you were just trying to come up with resources to support this idea of yours, which I can see that it was really beneficial for the kids, and this is your son here.
Yes. There's another instance of parallel lines. Yes, that's my son Pete. That's my home. And the kids built a wood shed we have a fireplace. So we wanted somewhere to stack our wood that we burn. And so this is a 3-sided shed with the face open. And when it came to our house, Pete says, "Oh, I'll put it together." So that's him, the first time in his life running a screw gun. So notice the paint on, he helped paint too. You can see the paint on his face.
Wow.
But yeah, so we did the exact same thing.
This is what it looks, right?
Yes, there it is. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I cut you. You were saying.
Oh, that's okay. The parallel lines there as well with the slats, and on the top and on the bottom, there's parallel lines all over that. So, and then the angle at the top, the angle was 14 degrees. So we had to figure out the distance below to get the 14-degree angle to get the roof to set correctly. So a little bit of math there.
Yeah. What do you mean? Where is the 14 degrees?
Go to the right, or right there, and then straight up towards the front of it. That is 14. Follow that beam right there up to the front. Yes, that's 14 degrees. So we had to figure out how to get a 14-degree angle. And luckily my husband helped us with that. My husband, Terry, I learned from him too. He says, "Well, let's try this and put this here." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a brilliant idea." So put that in my memory.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yes. That's exciting.
So, yeah.
That's really exciting what you've got. And then I see another one here.
Yes, this is cornhole boards that we made. We make those. That's the very first project we make, and we use Pythagorean's theorem to make sure the frame is square and then put the top on. We have to measure down to get the hole in the right place, and then use a jigsaw to cut the circle, which is always an incredible challenge.
Yeah.
And then the art kids who don't like math, the art kids shine at this moment. As you can see, this is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. And so the Pythagorean theorem, the way you used it was, you'd measure, you have your length and your width, and you'll make sure that the diagonals are, using the Pythagorean theorem, the diagonals are what they should be. And also because it's a rectangle, you make sure that the diagonals are congruent. So that's how you're applying it.
Yes. And if they want to find the middle of the board to put a design in the middle, then they remember the diagonals of a rectangle bisect each other. So they just put two strings on corner to corner on the diagonals, and then that will help them find the middle just instantly, and they don't even have to measure. So there's more theorems of math that we use.
Oh, nice. So the diagonals bisect each other and the diagonals are congruent, so you use strings. That's amazing. Great. Are there any other examples? I can stop sharing for right now. Second. Okay. Are there any other examples you'd like to share, or yeah.
Do you want me to show my board behind me here?
Sure.
So this is one of the boards. This is we're in Illinois, so this is our Fighting Illini board. So to measure, make sure that it is square, as they say. So this is 48 inches here. And then on this side, this is 24 inches. And then I have the students calculate it with they whip their phones out, which is fabulous. And to make sure the diagonals measure the correct distance. So that's how they use Pythagorean theorem in the shop.
Awesome.
And also we make the bean bags. Here's a bean bag.
Ah, nice.
And yeah, and the kids are so busy in the wood shop, they don't have time to make the bags that go with them. So my homeroom fight over who gets to use my sewing machine to help them make the bags. So we sew these from scratch and buy the filler and everything. So we make everything that goes with it. So
that is just amazing. Do you find it hard to assess kids in this class?
Yes, I do. I do not. Well, currently I assess them on their math skills only. When they come to the shop, some objects that they produce are just pleasing to my eye, and some projects they produce are pleasing to their eye. So how can I grade that? So I'm like, oh, that looks wonderful. I used no, they all are really good. So I just usually grade in the classroom and then participation in the shop if they're doing something instead of just standing there. So a lot of the students, boys and girls, are scared of the saw. There's one of my saws over there.
Right.
And so far, all my students that started with 10 fingers still has 10 fingers. So, and if they are scared to use a saw or a tool, I don't force them. We just find someone else in the class that will do it, or I'll do it. Or I have a teacher friend that helps me, Bart Kennel. So he'll come over and help them as well. So there's two of us teachers in the shop.
Right.
So
yeah. So if you this class has become a hit, huh? How many
yes.
how many kids are choosing to take the class out of the
there? We graduate 30 to 40 kids a year. So we're a very, very small school in central Illinois. And so that makes roughly 70 or 75 students in the junior and senior class. And since the students have to have geometry 1 first, only juniors and seniors can take this class. So out of the 70 kids, I had 24 of them request to take the class. So as you can see, the shop's not all that big. So where the class fell in the schedule, I think only 14 or 16 of them managed to get in it. So yeah, it's a pretty popular class. It's fun.
Yeah,
and they
I can
get
see.
they get to, depending on the project, they get to take it home. The cornhole boards we raffle off to try to raise the money back that we spent on it. The first year before COVID, a set of cornhole boards with bags and everything was $35 to make. This year, $110 to make it.
Oh, wow.
Prices have gone up on lumber that much. So yeah. So we raffle them, we sell tickets and raffle them off and draw a ticket and see who wins the cornhole board. So so that's how we make money for the class too. So
and you also take them to like Home Depot right in the beginning, right?
Oh yes, field trip day. They love field trip day. So yes, to get them to understand how much this class costs, one of the first 2 weeks of school, I take them from noon. Of course, we stop and eat somewhere from noon to the end of school, and I'm a bus driver. I have my bus driver's license, so we all hop on a bus and I drive over to the local Home Depot, which just happens to be the one closest to us. I'm not promoting Home Depot, it's just the one that's close.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I give them a list. I write out everything we need. 2x4s, screws. Sometimes I have money. Someone has given me a grant that I can pick up a couple more screw guns or a sander or a planer or whatever. And I split the list into parts and I hand each kid something to go buy. And I say, okay, go find it. And I turn them loose. So they go in pairs around the store and they come back with a box of nails. Here's the screws. No, no. These are nails. We need screws, and this is what you should look for. So they learn their way around the hardware store. They learn to ask. They learn how much stuff cost. And yes, and also when we go to buy the 2x4s, I have them sight down the board to make sure it's straight, and so they can see that not all 2x4s are perfect.
Right. Yeah. So
Yes.
a lot of skills, even, developed during that just one field trip. Right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
amazing.
And the shocker is when we go to pay for everything and I have the school credit card and I have the kids guess to see how much it costs, and they're never anywhere close. It's always much, much higher than they thought. And they're just so surprised. And with that lesson, they take care of the screw guns, they take care of the sanders, and they're careful with it because they understand this stuff costs money. So
Right.
that's another reason for the field trip.
Right. What a wonderful
So.
way to even introduce a little bit of financial literacy into, because a lot of times I feel like children enter the adult world without realizing anything about money and how much things cost and so forth. So that's a wonderful lesson, to teach them also. But I'm really enjoying this conversation. Do you have anything, would you like to any advice you want to give to other educators who are perhaps interested in doing something like what you've done?
Just ask. If you don't ask, they can't say yes or no. My superintendent, Kent Stoddard, and my principal, Matt Schoaf, when I came back and I said, I have an idea, and they're like, oh, good. So at first they weren't, they were happy, yes, and thrilled, but it didn't really sink in until several, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years later, finally, he said, okay, let's put this class in. There's room in the schedule now. And so if you don't ask for a class, have an idea, then they can never say yes. So just ask.
Right. And that is a great lesson for anyone in terms of, if you don't try, you'll never have a shot, right? So
exactly.
But you also mentioned that the two people who started this class, Tom Moore and Scott Burke, have
yes.
a lot of statistics to support that.
Boy, do they. Yes. It's geometry and construction out of Loveland, Colorado, I believe is the town. It's definitely Colorado. I believe it's Loveland. They teach it where they team teach it. Tom is the math teacher and Scott is the shop teacher, and they have have it set up as a block schedule. So they have first and second hour or whatever every day with all the kids. So yeah, and they say that there's a regular geometry class at their high school, and there's geometry and construction as a first year class. And the kids in geometry and construction usually outscore the other kids on the state tests because they're applying their skills, not just writing stuff down on paper.
Right.
So.
And I feel that when kids see that, the things that they're learning has a purpose and is somehow relevant in their life, they always tend to want to learn things better, and it also sinks in deeper in their brains. So it makes sense to me that they outscore the traditional students. So
yes.
Wow. And anything you'd like to say to a teacher who's made an impact on your life?
I was thinking about that question. You asked me that.
Yeah.
Some people always ask me why I'm a math teacher. In 5th grade, when I was 12, my math teacher at that time said, hey, you get to be in this group because you're good at math. And I went, I'm good at math? really? I
Yeah.
am. And ever since then, everyone else was like, oh, math, that's icky. So I kind of felt sorry for math because no one liked math. So from fifth grade on, I've wanted to be a math teacher. So I'm one of the fortunate ones. Yeah, I haven't talked to Mr. Hamilton in years. I don't, he was old when I had him. He was probably what, 30? Yeah, so yeah, lots of teachers through infinite number of college teachers, just the support of being a teacher, not necessarily the geometry part of it, but just lots and lots and lots of people along the way.
Yeah, and you had a passion and you followed it through, and I'm also, you had mentioned, your superintendent and your principal, and I am grateful for them for, giving you the space to to kind of have your idea,
Yes.
space for your idea, because like a lot of the times I think that supervisors just say, okay, just do this project, okay, make this new class. But it is important to support teachers, give them resources and the time for it. And then a lot of the times teachers have to take it upon themselves, which in some cases you did too. You went like, you're like finding grants and you're trying all different kinds of ways to make sure this class actually is happening, and
Yes.
so
Kent's office is really close to the wood shop here. So every now and then he'll wander in and say, wow, these projects look great. And the principal likes to wander in and take a look. So Kent and Matt, yeah, our school is so fortunate to have them. They're really great guys.
yeah,
So
awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. And what a wonderful conversation, Shari. And like just from the time we had the exploratory call, I could just keep talking to you. But because I feel like we really connect with, in terms of a lot of ideas, a lot of common missions, and really want to thank you for your time. And
thank you for having me.
yeah, for sure. And I hope this kind of showcases to other teachers of how they can perhaps improve certain engagement in the classrooms. So
definitely, yes. Just ask.
yeah, thank you so much. And we will keep in touch.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch. I really am inspired by you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, take care, Shari.
Bye-bye.
Listeners, I hope you enjoyed this conversation just as much as I did. If you know anyone who is passionate about the way math is used in their work, whether it's yourself or someone you know, please reach out to me. Details are on my website, numeracycoach.com. If you found this content informative, please subscribe. And if you know anyone who could benefit from listening to the show, please share it with them. Until next time, adios.